the test lab lead here at the Reece Product Innovation and Testing Laboratory. And today we've got Lawrence with us as well.
I'm Lawrence. I'm the Zurn product specialist supporting the Zurn products for the Reece Group.
Thanks, Lawrence. So here to talk about backflow. Can you tell me a bit more about it? What actually is backflow?
Yeah, backflow is super important to us. It's any time we're talking about the unwanted reverse flow of water. So generally from a building or a site back into the drinking water supply.
So Lawrence, how important is it to stop or prevent backflow?
Backflow prevention is crucially important. We don't know what contaminants could be getting into the water. We want to make sure we're reducing and preventing that risk of contaminating drinking water supply.
All right, so we've got quite a few products actually out here on display. Can you tell me a bit more about them? What differences are we seeing here?
Yeah, absolutely. So going back to that crucial importance of protecting the drinking water supply, we do have different models. So we have in Australian standards low, medium and high hazard ratings for sites, and we have devices that suit each of those. So we have a low hazard device, which is a single check, medium hazard, which is a double check valve or DCV, and we have the high hazard device, which is an RPZ. Now, they're all different in design slightly. They all have the non-return valves, but the high hazard rating comes about from a feature that's unique to the RPZ, which is the relief port we see on the bottom here. On our larger valves, still the same design, just a larger brass design. Now, that is designed to actually expel the contaminant. So we'll try and get rid of that to further prevent it from going back into the drinking water supply. And also as a visual reference, it's something that needs to be looked at as time for a service.
So if this is actually doing its job correctly, what am I going to see?
Yeah, spot on. That's a great question. Something that's a bit of a misconception in the industry. In plumbing, we don't want to see water discharging unnecessarily out of anything, but in a RPZ, we definitely want to see that where something's going wrong. Where there's a backflow condition, we need to make sure we're protecting the drinking water supply. So if you're seeing these leaks, a drip, a pour or discharge from an RPZ, it's doing what it's designed to do. It's time to have a look at what's causing the issue.
What makes a good backflow device?
Yeah, obviously the materials and the quality of those components internally in the valve bodies themselves. We want high quality materials used. Mm-hmm. We also want to make sure that you've got a trusted and reliable company manufacturing these things with years of experience built up in that field. And we don't want to take chances with our drinking water. It's just not something we want to risk. So what sets Zurn apart is their history. They've got a long-standing history of reliability. They've been supplying versions of backflow prevention devices as early as the 1900s. And from that date, they've brought a lot of innovations to the industry. So from our easy swap vessels, which we have here today, to our compound checks, they're really focusing on making things much easier for the industry. And now combining that with obviously Reece's quality lab that we have here today, I think we've got a great partnership.
The quality of these products is vital to us in the lab as well. So part of the process that we're involved with here in Australia is once the product is approved to be sold in Australia, so it meets all of the technical requirements, all the Australian standards, we actually get the product over here and do a full assessment of it in our own labs. So what we'll actually do is assess performance, product quality of each component, and then once we've deemed that satisfactory, we'll give it a tick of approval and it goes through for sale. How do these devices protect against the low, medium and high hazard ratings?
So I mentioned earlier low, medium and high hazard level or ratings in the Australian standard, and we've got the devices to suit. So here we have a single check valve. That's a low hazard rating, and the reason it gets the low hazard rating, it's only got one non-return valve in it. So obviously there's no fail safe. If that's a high hazard site and something was to go wrong, there's no other added protection in there. Generally they'll be used on fire services in Victoria and Queensland as well, and sometimes you'll see a bypass set up for your fire services, which is a water metering apparatus. Then we move on to our medium hazard devices, which are double check valves or DCVs. So these can be both with a bypass for your fire systems or fire services and without for your normal potable water or drinking water supply. So again, the only difference with the bypass, they're still medium hazard rated, but it's just a water metering device. So someone's not using water that they shouldn't be. And what we have here lastly is the high hazard rated device, which is an RPZ. So in addition to the two non-return valves or check assemblies we have in there, we also have the relief port on the bottom, and that attempts to expel the contaminant, which is an added level of protection against that contaminant getting back into the drinking water supply.
So how do we maintain these out in the field?
Yeah, quite simply really. Every year a backflow test has to be conducted on a backflow device to make sure that it's doing what it should and it's protecting our drinking water. Now Zurn know the importance of obviously that testing, but also the time for our plumbers to do the job. So they've brought innovation to the industry to make this nice and easy, nice and quick for them. And it's just a simple vessel. Take that out, drop it back in, redo your test and off you go.
So Lawrence, what I'm seeing is backflow really is important.
Crucially important. Yeah, we really don't want to take chances with our drinking water supply. We want every opportunity to prevent any contaminants and backflow getting into the drinking water. We can't take those chances. So in addition to our quality checks and quality product, obviously you've got your quality processes here at the testing lab at Reece.